And we're good to go.
All right, we'll call the meeting to order. Do we have the flag for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice
for all.
Roll call.
John Douglas,
Here.
Michael Howry,
Here.
Michelle Hayes,
Here.
Gene Sensi.
Here.
All right, under our first point of business here, we're looking for a motion to appoint Brian Horvath to fill the remaining term of the vacant board position expiring December 31st, 2023.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Welcome to the board. Looking forward
Thank
to
you.
working with you.
Thank you, same here.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Nice to have you, Brian.
Hey, Mike.
Good. Looking forward to serving with you. All right.
Thanks,
Roll,
Sean.
roll call, Mike?
John Douglas,
Yes.
Michael Howry,
Yes.
Michelle Hayes,
Yes.
Gene Sensi.
Yes.
Vote is 4-0.
Brian, is there anything you'd like to say to introduce yourself to the community?
Yeah, thanks, Sean. Yes, hello, my name's Brian Horvath. Many of you, I think, as teachers know my wife, Wendy Horvath. We have 4 kids. We've been in Madison for 15 years, and I look forward to working with everyone on the board, superintendent, everybody, Angela, and, for continuing to support the school system and continuing to have Madison be one of the great schools in the area. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Sean, before we get there, I have to swear him in.
Oh, yes, that's
Oath
right.
of office. So, Brian, if you could raise your right hand for me. Thank you. Do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Ohio, and that you will faithfully and impartially perform your duties as a member of the Board of Education of the Madison Local School District in Lake County, Ohio, to the best of your ability and in accordance with the laws now in effect and hereafter to be enacted during your continuance in said office and until your successor is elected and qualified?
I will.
Thank you. Okay, now we can move on.
Okay. So is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll move.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Michael Howry,
Yes.
Michelle Hayes,
Yes.
Brian Horvath,
Abstain.
Gene Sensi,
Yes.
John Douglas.
Yes.
Vote is 4-0-1.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of July 1st, 2020?
I'll move.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Michelle Hayes,
Abstain.
Brian Horvath,
Abstain.
Gene Sensi,
Yes.
John Douglas,
Yes.
Michael Howry.
Yes.
Vote is 3-0-2.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of July 21st, 2020?
I'll move.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Brian Horvath,
Abstain.
Gene Sensi,
Yes.
John Douglas,
Yes.
Michael Howry,
Abstain.
Michelle Hayes.
Yes.
Vote is 3-0-2.
All right, so we're ready to move on to board member reports. Any board members wanting to make a report tonight?
It was nice to see the sports being played at the high school, the tennis and players practicing at the field. It was it's good to see the community come out and support them, and yeah, that's a breath of fresh air.
All right, seeing none, then we'll move on to the first public participation portion for the evening. This is on agenda items only. Anyone wishing to address the board would have 5 minutes to do so. Anyone wishing to address the board, if you could state your name and your address, please. Michael, go ahead and unmute everybody.
Everybody has got the opportunity to unmute themselves.
All right, seeing none. Mike, you need to mute everyone again.
Mhm. Okay. Michael Howery, can you unmute? Thank you. We're good to go.
All right, reports and recommendations of the treasurer.
All right, thank you. Just a few things to talk about, one of which is on the agenda, but the audit for the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2020, started July 27th and is still ongoing. So far, the auditors have been able to work remotely. We get them the information, we scan it in, we email it to them. And the only thing that they may have to come out, well, they're not even going to come out, I'm going to deliver them, are voucher checks or packets that they will be usually select between 40 and 80 of those. And we just aren't going to use the manpower to scan them and send them to him. He lives in Painesville, I live in Painesville, I can get them to him. So they have looked at everything we've sent them over the last few weeks and they have no concerns so far. I don't expect them to have any, but you just never know. So second item, some of you may have heard about the Purdue bankruptcy case and the class action litigation against the company. You'll see a lot of local governments that were filing claims. It has been alleged that Purdue acted unlawfully with respect to the marketing, promotion, sale, and or distribution of prescription opioid products. Again, many governmental agencies are filing a claim against the company. So on July 27th, I filed a claim on behalf of the Madison schools. I don't know if we'll ever see any money, but if we didn't file the claim, we were guaranteed not to see any money. So time will tell whether we get any money out of it. So that was just something we did as a district. On the agenda is a new fund to be approved. It's Fund 510, the Coronavirus Relief Fund. It's an additional stream of money from the state of Ohio, $150,532.63. It'll account for revenue and expenditures related to COVID-19. Unlike the first pot of money, the CARES money, which could be spent on anything, this is much more narrow spending. It has to be on directly COVID-related expenditures. So the medical team that Angela brought in will be paid for by these funds. All of the PPE in the district will be reclassified into this fund, thereby relieving the general fund or any other fund of the expenditures. So, and then finally today, I submitted the Broadband Ohio Connectivity Grant. It's grants up to $250,000. I asked for slightly under $250,000 because of the way we purchase things. I think we left about $100 on the table. Spending it on this grant will be in one of three main areas. Chromebooks that are LTE enabled. Those are different than the other Chromebooks that we buy. The other Chromebooks that we buy have to have a wireless internet connection to make them work. These are much like your phone to access the internet. That's how we're able to fund this type of device under this grant. Regular Chromebooks aren't allowed. We'll also have to purchase the monthly access plan from Verizon Wireless to make these Chromebook works, and the access for, I think I have 300 Chromebooks in there, is also included. We are also asking for funds for 55 hotspots through Verizon. We have some students who don't have internet access at home. And frankly, I'm not so sure we're gonna get these Chromebooks. We won't get them in before school starts. I'm hoping we get them in by December 30th. If we don't, then we don't get to spend the money. We have to spend everything by December 30th. These 55 hotspots will allow those students who are getting a Chromebook from us but don't have internet to have internet access at their house. So that's going to be very helpful. And then finally, what we asked for was money for exterior access points. We're going to put one on each of our buildings, so our parking lots will become wireless areas. So if there is after hours kids that need access to the internet, they'll be able to pull in our parking lot and have access to the internet. It'll run over our network, so it'll still have the same filtering in place. And we got this idea from Fairport Schools, they are putting enough in. Now Fairport's much smaller than Madison, but they're putting enough in locations that all of Fairport may have wireless internet access. We put in for 10, our 5 buildings, plus I'm hoping to talk to the fire department and the township and the village if we can find some of their buildings to put them on that are in areas where kids can access it. I'm going to see if we can put them on their buildings too. Also asked for twice as many as we absolutely need, because much like everything in the state, there's going to be more requests for money than there's going to be funded. So they're going to systematically reduce everybody. If they reduce our grant proposal request by 50%, we'll still have enough for each of the 5 buildings in our district. So it's just trying to get connectivity for those students that may not have it. And that is the purpose of the grant. It's not to buy more Chromebooks to hand out to kids that aren't accessible to the internet on their own. So any questions on any of that?
I'm sorry, I missed the very first part. This grant is through Verizon?
No, it's through the state of Ohio.
Okay.
The reason we use Verizon is we have a federal contract with them. And while their monthly amount or monthly cost for the hotspot is higher, the 4 months that we'll need it will be paid for by the state. And then if the student comes back or doesn't need the access, I can suspend billing and not have to pay the rest. They have a cheaper option, but you also have to, one, buy the device, which we don't have to buy the device, and the devices are not available until mid-October. That doesn't do us any good. So it might look like we're paying a little more upfront, but in the long run, it'll actually be cheaper for the district to go this route. And Verizon is who we have our phone system, or not our phone system, all of our mobile phones in the district are one group plan with Verizon. So as a federal contract, we get some benefits that you and I can't get on a personal level.
Okay. Thanks.
So Mike, at my place of employment, we're seeing that remote devices are significantly more expensive than they were, say, pre-pandemic, because so many organizations are trying to buy them. Are you seeing that with, the buying power that the district has along with our other consortiums?
No, the order we placed in July was right about the same price that we've been paying all along. It went up slightly because it's a newer model, but we aren't seeing significant increases. Now, I can't tell you, we're paying $240 for a regular Chromebook. These Chromebooks are $477. One, because we don't buy a lot. Two, because they're LTE enabled. They're just a different model and style of Chromebook. I can't tell you whether that price has gone up because of the coronavirus or not, because we've never bought them before.
Okay, thank you.
So if there's no other questions, I'll go on to the 2 items in the agenda. The first is to approve the financial reports for all funds, fund-to-fund transfer report, and the check payment register for July 2020.
I'll move.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Gene Sensi,
Yes.
John Douglas,
Yes.
Michael Howery,
Yes.
Michelle Hayes,
Yes.
Brian Horvath,
Yes.
I'm sorry, was that a yes or a?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Vote is 5-0. And the second item is to approve Fund 510 Coronavirus Relief Fund.
I'll move.
A second.
Discussion? Roll call.
John Douglas,
Yes.
Michael Howery,
Yes.
Michelle Hayes,
Yes.
Brian Horvath,
Yes.
Gene Sensi.
Yes.
Vote is 5-0. And that's all I have this evening. Thank you.
Reports of the administrative team.
Right. Well, I have several items. I think I'll start with the big one because it was a big day when the governor made an announcement about sports. He announced it at 2 o'clock and then he went on at 4 o'clock to a call to meet with the superintendents. At 6 o'clock, he's now meeting with the athletic directors. And at 8 o'clock, he is meeting, or 7 o'clock, he's meeting with contact sport coaches, and at 8 o'clock, the non-contact sport coaches.
Wow.
So he's had a full day of meetings. Basically, this is what he said: sports are allowed to continue. It is a local decision, and that it needs to be, the risks involved need to be considered. People asked about red counties, and he said, well, if there's significant spread in the county, it would not probably be a good idea to play sports. But again, he's leaving that up to the local decision makers. Basically, our 4 o'clock meeting was to reinforce what was said at 2. The orders will be available at Friday. So it was a very general conversation because we were asking for things in a little more detail. And he said it's all going to be in the new orders and guidance that will be out. John Houston, I think, said on the 21st. So things that we're waiting on are guidance on spectators. So it was alluded that spectators would be limited to family members only. Inside sports would have been are going to be even more limited in the number of spectators. Bands would be limited to playing for their home games, and there would be no bands traveling. The guidance is written with the idea that people have got to socially distance and spread out, because coming together is how this virus spreads. And he alluded that it would probably be, their guidance would say 4, but again, it all goes back to local decision and what the stadiums that could reasonably accommodate. Our football stadium is much bigger than our soccer stadium, so that's going to change, how many you could have there. What this means for Madison immediately right now is, even though he said it wasn't really supposed to be a part of the order, we all know testing is right now in the order. The order is not lifted, even though he said it really didn't apply to schools. But it doesn't say that in the order. So in talking with our athletic director, John Dragus, this afternoon, I think we're going to try and push the couple things that were supposed to happen Friday night and Saturday. We had soccer was supposed to open Friday night and volleyball Saturday. I think we're going to push those games and get our hands on the guidance before anything could start up next week. And again, the devil is in the details, as has been with everything in this COVID-19 world. And as you know, on Saturday, we finally got the mask guidance. And when he said masks were okay for a while, or shields, they then have backtracked to go back to the CDC guidance. So everything is a moving target as we are beginning to reopen schools. So you know, my recommendation and things that we're going to have to talk about with the athletic director, and I will be having those conversations, is do we go into a red county and travel? Do we let a red county, you know, a school that's in a red county come to us? Transportation. I'm going to, you know, basically try and follow, because, you know, football players and pads and everything else, it's not like they're changing at those venues, you know, 1 to a seat. So that might mean a couple more buses, but we're not traveling our band. So what does that look like? And then with every situation, you've just got to weigh the risk involved. And I talk to John Dragus just about every day. So as he gets information, he shares it, and I will pass it on to you. Any questions about the sports startup?
Angela, I don't have questions, but I did participate in a portion of that call today. I don't normally do that, but frankly, you know, Angela called me during that, and I was able to hear, you know, she put on speakerphone, and I was able, it was absolutely astonishing, the lack of detail and the lack of guidance provided by the governor and the lieutenant governor during that meeting. As a band parent, so little information about bands other than, you know, we're going to limit spectators, but band parents will be included. You know, not a lot of detail about how many participants, you know, as far as athletes and band members. I mean, it just, the beat goes on with this is my complaint, but the beat goes on with the governor just giving us so little guidance and so little information to go on. And they just keep saying local control. I heard probably 7, 8 questions that were posed by various superintendents that were read, and then the governor or the lieutenant governor addressed those questions. And every answer was, I can't answer that. That's something the local school board will have to decide, but some things to think about. And none of the things during the 45 minutes or so that I was on the call that they said to think about were things that we didn't already know to think about. We know that you're supposed to wear masks. We know that you're supposed to social distance and that keep people 6 feet apart. And the kind of things that they were addressing were just things that we've heard since March. So just very aggravating from a local school board perspective, in my opinion.
This is my concern. My concern is because he's done this in different areas already. He'll put out a recommendation, not necessarily a guideline, but a recommendation. And then when he doesn't, and he'll say that this is a recommendation, it's not a mandate, but yet he doesn't like the direction that people are taking, or you know, if he doesn't like the direction school districts are taking, then he turns around and makes it something else, a mandate or a recommendation turns into a guideline. And then the decisions we've made have to change once again when he just could have given us the specifics to begin with. He obviously has what he wants in mind, yet he doesn't want to be the bad guy and have to put down the hammer and say, this is what school districts are going to do. He wants local control to do that.
But having been on the front line, Michelle, of many of those decisions throughout this pandemic, I would 100% agree with you that it was disappointing to me as a superintendent that he'll say in press conferences he's consulted with superintendents. This is the first time throughout this pandemic that I got a direct invitation with a meeting link to register for, to talk about or hear his perspective from a school perspective, and for superintendents, and it was all about the sports issue. He has never consulted broadly with our association or had a meeting with our association or talked to us. So it was a little disheartening when I got that email last night after a long opening day going, what's he going to talk about? And then he's talking about the same thing for 4 hours without so little detail for 4 hours today. So it is frustrating sitting in my shoes at this point with some of the decisions that are being made in Columbus. I'm not gonna lie.
Right. No, I agree. I listened to what he had said on television today, and I heard that he said, it could be, maybe 4 members of a household, or 4 family members. But he needs to address, are those 4 family members from the same household, 4 families from 4 different households? I mean, there's a lot of variables there. And I mean, obviously those are decisions that we're going to have to make, but if overall school districts are not making the decision that he wanted to see, then he's going to come back and change those recommendations and guidelines and make it mandates.
Well, and I think his intent today was to say kids should have their season as long as they're doing it safely with accountability and responsibility. And that goes beyond just being on the practice field and participating in games. That becomes a 24/7 thing, and making good decisions about what you choose to do in your free time. So he was very clear in that. I think the rest of it is what our stadium can accommodate, what the health department will permit. So all of these things will go into play, which again, waiting till August 18th, when soccer opens Friday night, doesn't give a lot of room to plan for, our venues. So I have talked with John Dragus, and he's in agreement that we are going to push the starts of those seasons till next week, when we can better see the guidance in front of us.
Mm-hmm. And I hope that people understand and can see that this is why dates keep changing and things keep getting pushed back, not just in the sports arena, but, even with the openings of schools and the things that the school district is doing. And, we're putting out dates and we're hoping that this will be done, but things keep changing.
Right.
This is not the only instance of something getting pushed back.
Here's another big piece. On Saturday, and it was Saturday when this went out, because that's when my phone was, getting ringing constantly with members of my team telling me that he changed the mask mandate, which then I quickly went and retweeted his tweet. He said that, for a while he said shields would be okay, and the health department even said shields would be okay. CDC said shields are not okay. So we had to change some of that mask mandate, and we've got to get that out to parents, because he also said the neck gaiters are not acceptable. So if parents,
Really?
gaiters, if parents bought the gaiters, and I'm going to put that in an update tomorrow and say, don't shoot the messenger, I don't make these rules. As of today, they're not allowed. But now then there was a study, which then that could change it, that if they're cotton, neck gaiters could come back and be permissible. But right now, as of today, neck gaiters are not permissible.
And no shields.
No shields unless, the students are doing some close-up work, but it's not to be how they wear it, and they should still have a mask, and it needs to tie around, and there's all sorts of things. So we are really, our policy is, we're asking people that if their student cannot wear a mask, it has to be with a doctor's note. And my hope is that most doctors, because the science is saying masks are what you really contain the spread of this virus, that they're going to be written for only the very rightest of reasons.
Yeah, that's definitely a communication we need to get out. I know a lot of parents were planning on their kids wearing shields.
Yes, that is my tomorrow communication. I'm going to do a community update tomorrow with some of these things in it and some of the changes. But like I said, that came down Saturday. And I've had Jen Grimes kind of working on all things mask. And she's done a very good job with all the details. Anything else on sports before I go into the rest of my report? Okay. Just to let you know that Auburn did start today. They had a very successful first day. We sent 2 buses out for our juniors this morning and 1 for our seniors because we have about 60 kids going to Auburn in the junior class. And by senior year, more of them drive. Got an email from their superintendent saying how smooth their start was today. So that's a good thing. Gives us hope for our children when they come back into the buildings. Teachers opening day was yesterday. It was a rather surreal day, doing 4 staff meetings instead of 1 large group meeting. Very quiet, very different tone. Because we all know this year is going to be different. But different doesn't necessarily mean bad, and we're going to work through things as we need to work through them. We have PD going on all week. We've had some people from the ESC, LGCA, our tech team, helping to present things to staff. Friday, we're going to do the PBIS, which is the Positive Behavior Intervention Support, some mental health awareness, and some training specific to COVID-19 for staff members. We are working with MBD Medical. We were taping some videos yesterday. We're hoping those videos are ready by the end of the week. And those videos are not only for staff, but they're for parents. So they're sending things out from a parent perspective, you know, for questions that parents might have about transportation. What does that look like? So if, for example, every bus is going to fill from the back to the front. So again, to limit interaction with people. While we can't get, you know, just 1 person per seat, we can get, you know, 1 person and maybe 2 people with families and, you know, work those kind of details out. But I think our largest route is about 40 kids. So like I said, at the last meeting last week, CBS did a remarkable job putting together those routes, and they didn't make a lot of changes to the actual routes, and those are now posted online for the community to see. So that will be out. Yes, Sean.
You said, I promised Brian, as you said, LGCA and
Lake Geauga Computer Association, as they provide internet and different types of integration tech services, and districts around our member schools, and like they provide consortium pricing for things like our Infinite Campus system and those kinds of things. Mike, you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, our accounting and payroll systems and are through them also.
Thank you.
CBS.
CBS is Community Bus Service. It's the transportation company.
Welcome to the world of acronyms.
Oh, PBIS.
I said positive behavior intervention support.
Yeah, you did, Angela.
I knew that one. That I got that one out.
Oh,
What? LOL over there.
Laugh out loud.
So, let's see. So to go on, you know, to talk about this, as Dave likes to talk about this opening, it's like you get to 1 layer of the onion and you uncover something else. So there are just very, very many moving parts. I mean, in essence, what we are doing is planning two schools. You're planning the school that we all know with all these COVID restrictions, that in-person schooling, but having to do it to make sure that you can socially distance kids, you know, perfection 6 feet apart optimally, and everything that we've heard from all the experts, 4 to 6 feet apart. So you have to do that. And then, you know, ensure that we're going to be able to provide them the materials that they need in terms of, you know, Chromebooks, you know, workbooks, a variety of things that in a normal world, all these things would have been 100% mapped out and done. But It's just with names and lists and trying to be accommodating to families to the best of our ability, and we can't do it all, you know, and I know there have been some people that are disappointed in some things and what we've been able to do. I think our administrators have done a phenomenal job dealing with all the moving parts. So to that end, as far as finalizing lists, I think our elementary lists will be ready either Thursday or Friday to be posted on Infinite Campus. We will not be posting them on the doors like we usually post them because we don't want people to gather and congregate at the building like they do. And one of the things that we heard loud and clear from the governor today was in relationship to, you know, walk-up food stands. If you don't have a place for people to social distance, they're going to congregate, and those are some of the things that we're dealing with. So we're going to put an announcement, we'll tweet it out, and then people should log into their Infinite Campus accounts to see who has what teacher, and if they can't find it that way, they should just email their building principal.
Angela,
Yes.
the people who have difficulty with Infinite Campus, do you want them to contact the board office or the building principal?
The building principals. If they can't get their Infinite Campus password, or they need that reset, and I will put that in an update tomorrow as well, it's Jan Maurer, because she'll handle the parent resets.
Okay.
Okay. High school and middle school schedules, again, it's balancing classes, making sure the in-person classes can meet the social distancing requirements, and then creating all the virtual sections. And so that also took time. And those schedules should be run and ready by the end of the week. Materials and technology, we will be doing material pickups for our virtual learners, and those will take place next week. We're looking at having things ready to be distributed Wednesday and Thursday with details to be outlined in an update early next week as to exactly where. High school is going to have their pickup on Wednesday and Thursday, I think from 5 to 8. And this will include any materials they need for class, as well as if they are in need of a Chromebook. And all those were pre-requested. So, and every student in a home that needs a Chromebook will get one this year, because we heard loud and clear from our parent survey that having one device for 4 at-home learners just didn't work. Again, this makes a change to the elementary schedule, but we are pushing the elementary virtual day to Thursday, the 27th, and then all regular online learning will start. Regular in-person and online learning will start August 28th.
Okay, can I ask a clarifying question?
Yes, you may.
So is it Wednesday, the 26th, that they're going to get the Chromebooks?
We are going to get that information out as soon as we have details finalized.
Well, because if we're pushing the virtual, elementary virtual date to the 27th.
That's their welcome back day. Now, I know buildings have scheduled virtual open houses, which they don't need a Chromebook. It can be done on any device. They're just going to have a link, and if they have a phone, they can see the teacher talking in the virtual, log in, just like you would if you were watching a YouTube video. Only it'll be live, is my understanding.
So
Because
that's going to move to the 27th?
No, there's 2 things going on, and I know there was some confusion on that because we had a parent email the schools. We usually have open houses the week before school and the first week of school. So they're going to do virtual open houses that will be in the evenings, okay? Where teachers will be in their classrooms and just answering questions and talking, and the links will go out through the principal, I think. Or maybe the teacher. I'm not into that level of detail of the weeds. All I know is that they still wanted to do their virtual open houses so parents could see the classroom and get an idea of what would be happening. And that's for anybody.
So for example, letters went out. I know that there's a virtual open house Monday, another one on Tuesday. Those dates are staying, but they don't need a
As of
Chromebook.
right now, right, because these people are people that might be in the regular classroom. So the virtual open house is for any student in our elementaries. Mrs. Baptiste, since you're on the line, you probably understand this a little better than I do. Do you want to speak?
Well, my understanding is that because we can't, usually open house is more of an opportunity for the parents to just meet the teachers, get to meet the teacher. I started just preparing a little presentation of, what our daily routine will look like. And like I'm going to share my homework choice board for the week. And very simple, just so parents can pop in. It's nice to sort of put a parent face to a child. So it's not overly formal. It's to replace that open house, is my understanding. It will be done virtually on a Zoom link. We just had our Zoom training today, so I suspect a lot of us will be setting those up now. Does that answer questions? Does that help a little bit? That was sort of my understanding of it. I think because I teach third grade, mine is scheduled for next Tuesday, the 25th. And I planned to be online then, just to meet with parents and introduce myself is my plan.
Do you know, will they be recorded? So if a parent misses that Zoom open house, they'll be able to watch your presentation. Do you know if that'll be recorded?
I don't know. I haven't gotten direction from my admin that I need to. I don't know if we're able to, because I would be recording members of the public, the parents coming in. I don't know legality wise if I'm allowed to do that. I would have to check into that before we did that.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Okay. So there's like I said, there's just a lot of moving parts to this. Parts of the weeds I normally don't get into because they have it well down into a well-oiled machine, So, they staggered them out, and I said, well, you don't really have to stagger them out because it's not like parking is going to be an issue, which is why they usually have staggered them in the past. So, let's see. So that is how we're getting things out to the community, and high school letters I think were mailed out today with detailing some of those things. We are, like I talked about, was the training videos, and there will be some for parents, and we will be putting those out on the web page by the end of the week. I talked about transportation, talked about community update. I'm just going through my list. Staffing. So staffing has been interesting because we've had people take last minute leaves of absence. We've had some custodial, all our custodial staff is here, and I met with them today, and Dave did a bumping meeting that impacts some of our staff so that all areas are covered. We will be moving some educational assistants around Thursday, and we are still looking for as many substitutes as we possibly can because we just don't know what the next few weeks are going to bring. The thing that will shut us down as a district is if I can't get people to cover classes. That will be one of the indicators of what could happen. So I talked to Lake Health today about our nurses. So they will begin on Monday. And on top of all this, during COVID-19, I had to attend. So I wanted to talk a little bit about this because it's the emergency policy that's on the agenda. The Title IX training, which is basically sexual discrimination and harassment. And there are a whole bunch of new regs that were approved right as the pandemic started. So Neola really didn't have it on the forefront of their policy until June or July. And then all of the legal firms and Neola started sending out things about training and getting the policy up. And so we need to have this policy approved tonight so that we can have it on our website ASAP.
Who sent that to us?
Our policy company, Neola,
Okay.
and that was in, I think, their last update in July. I mean, people have been waiting for this thing for forever. And in the world of COVID, Title IX really wasn't anybody's priority. I mean, in fact, I told a couple of my colleagues, you have to take training on this. And so, we were all in this 4-hour training, I should say, on Friday. And Dave and I did 2 hours with our attorney on Thursday evening. And we will have to train all staff on the new regs. And I think our public school works will have a module that will help accomplish that. But there's a lot of requirements.
Angela, could you just explain what Neola is and how they serve the various districts that contract with them? Please.
Neola is a organization that helps to write board policy. And then they provide a consultant that will help us make decisions that are right for our district in terms of board policy. And then we, as a board, do a first reading. So we'll send them out. And at a board meeting, we'll do the first reading. If there's questions in between, which is why we have the second reading of 2 policies tonight, gives people an opportunity to ask questions. And then from there, they become adopted and part of policy.
So as laws are changed or created, Neola helps us to react to have a set of policies that make sure that we're, abiding by the Ohio Revised Code.
And very few policies anymore have a whole lot of choice. I think one of the few is the evaluation policy, and then we work on that in consultation with our union. And that's the Ohio Teacher Evaluation System. And right now we're all operating under the original, which is 1.0. But in the coming year, we have to work on what is called now OTES 2.0, Ohio Teacher Evaluation System.
So Angela, one of the agenda items is that we have an emergency policy. So the reason for that, correct me if I'm wrong, is that Neola put this policy out just recently. And if we don't have this policy in place when school starts and we have an issue, then the fact that we don't have a policy will become a significantly larger issue.
Yes.
So normally we have a first and second reading, but we're dispensing with that tonight because it's such an important issue. And Neola came out with a policy late, and I'm sure there's reasons for that, but that's why we have an emergency reading as opposed to a first and second reading. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Thank you.
Dave, do you want to talk about the remote learning plan a little bit?
I can. House Bill, I believe it was 164. I don't have it in front of me.
Yes, that was.
Requires that districts create and submit a remote learning plan if you're intending to use that form of education during the school year. There were a number of components that had to be in that plan. So I had worked on that over the past couple of weeks, got a draft to Angela, had her read through it, had Jen Grimes read through for the special ed components that were throughout to make sure that, that it's compliant. You have that tonight, and if approved, we will submit that to the state tomorrow.
So Dave, could you explain Jennifer Grimes' role? I know you said special ed component, but if you
Yes, Jen Grimes is our Director of Student Services, so she does oversee our programs for students with disabilities. And, anytime any decisions that we make, we have to think carefully about how they affect students with disabilities and make sure that we are following the guidelines that are in place to protect students. So she's a really important person in our in our organization in terms of that.
Thank you.
And then Angela, as you were talking, I checked off the 7 items on my list for a report tonight. The only thing I would maybe add to it as I look through my list is we're going to start to impose a fine of 25 cents for each person who uses an acronym. And then we're going to make a generous donation to charity at some point down the line.
All right, you keep track of that, Dave, in your free time.
We've got some tally marks going.
I think we're going to go broke.
You know, since we always see Gretchen's ever fresh face, maybe an explanation from Gretchen as to why she always comes to our meetings.
Oh, that would be good. Gretchen is the Madison Education Association, like that, I spelled it out, association president.
That's correct. That's why I'm at all the meetings, or most of them. I try to be.
And your primary responsibility is for Brian?
My primary responsibility is to oversee the union happenings. I am an integral part of the negotiations of the CBA, the collective bargaining agreement. And I work with OEA and NEA and advocate for our teachers.
Thank you.
And Gretchen's a 3rd grade teacher at North Elementary as well.
I am in my spare time. I'm a 3rd grade teacher. Yes.
All right. Are we ready for recommendations of the superintendent?
Yes, we are.
I heard a yes.
All right, so we're asking tonight under the personnel motion to approve an unpaid leave of absence for Jill Short, Madison High School food service cashier for the 2021 school year, to approve an unpaid leave of absence for Heather Parsons, South Elementary School food service helper for the 2020-21 school year. We're asking you to accept the resignation of Renee Lawrence, preschool aide, effective August 10th, 2020, to accept the resignation of Elizabeth Miolo, pre-K teacher, effective August 13th, 2020. We're asking you to enter into the following employment contracts: to employ Eliza Newton under a long-term substitute contract from August 17th, 2020 through May 28th, 2020, to perform the duties of an intervention specialist at Madison High School; to employ Jacita Moyer under a long-term substitute teacher contract from August 17th, 2020 through May 28th, 2021. We're asking you to employ the following under a 1-year limited contract as preschool instructor at the hourly rates of compensation listed below, and that would be Renee Lawrence and Chelsea Jeffers; to employ Joanne Dunlap as an itinerant speech language pathologist, effective for the 2021 school year for 2 days per week. Each of the following substitutes, as approved by the Lake County Educational Service Center and/or the Madison Local School District's Assistant Superintendent, under a 1-year limited contract, beginning with Sharon Alcantor and ending with Donald Zuckerman. To employ the following as building substitutes at a rate of $100 per day, effective August 17th, 2020, and that would be Tiffany Green and Amanda Washington. To approve a change in placement on this teacher's salary schedule pursuant to ORC and Article 12 of the MEA negotiated agreement for the following teachers: Melissa Couch and ending with Corey Willis. And to employ the following persons as a casual day-to-day substitute at the board approved rate and compensation, effective the 2020-21 school year. And that's the personnel motion this evening.
Move.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Just explaining the 2 different types of substitutes. There's the certified substitutes that cover for teachers, and the casual day-to-day are our classified substitutes.
Any other discussion? Roll call?
John Douglas,
Yes.
Michael Howery,
Yes.
Michelle Hayes,
Yes.
Brian Horvath,
Yes.
Gene Sensi.
yes,
Vote is 5-0.
And next item we're asking you to approve this evening is the resolution to adopt the Madison Local School Remote Learning Plan for submission to the Ohio Department of Education by August 21st, 2020, as found on file in the board office.
I'll move.
second,
Discussion?
I'd like to thank Dave for putting that together for us and keeping us compliant.
Any other discussion? Roll call?
Michael Howery,
Yes.
Michelle Hayes,
Yes.
Brian Horvath,
Yes.
Gene Sensi,
yes,
John Douglas.
Yes.
Vote is 5-0.
Our next item is a retirement resolution for Sue Webster. Has served, the past 20 years in our pre-K. And so a lot of people know who she is because she was one of those very first people to educate some of our children.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Michelle Hayes,
Yes.
Brian Horvath,
Yes.
Gene Sensi,
Yes,
John Douglas,
Yes.
Michael Howery.
Yes.
Vote is 5-0.
Next item on the agenda are the two board policies under item A. This is the second reading in order to adopt the following board policy revisions: attendance and protective facial coverings during a pandemic epidemic.
I'll move.
a second,
Any discussion?
The only question I had was on the possible disciplinary action if you had a staff member that was caught in non-compliance. Has that been worked out? I'm not sure if that's a question for David or not.
Discipline of a staff member for non-compliance?
With
Well-
with the masking, are you talking about?
Yes, the mask.
Okay. We have in our collective bargaining agreement, a discipline procedure so that we would work with, if that was a problem, it would begin probably with an informal conversation and then we would go through the issues of discipline. But I am very comfortable saying that, we've been in the building now 2 days and people are wearing their masks.
Sure, yeah, just a question, thank you.
Any other discussion? Roll call?
Brian Horvath,
Yes.
Gene Sensi,
yes,
John Douglas,
Yes.
Michael Howery,
Yes.
Michelle Hayes.
Yes.
Vote is 5-0.
All right, and the next item is to adopt the following emergency board policy. And it is actually a revision, it's not a new policy. Non-discrimination on the basis of sex in district programs and activities.
I'll move.
I'll second,
Any discussion? Roll call?
Gene Sensi,
yes,
John Douglas,
Yes.
Michael Howery,
Yes.
Michelle Hayes,
Yes.
Brian Horvath.
Yes.
Vote is 5-0.
Lost you, Gretchen.
All right, next item is the consent calendar. And this section of the agenda is mostly a lot of things with agreements, contracts, those kinds of things. And so we're asking you to approve the following volunteer coaches for the 2020-21 school year, beginning with Paige Fellows, girls soccer, and ending with Dan Selvar, middle school football, to enter into a consultant services contract between Madison Local Schools and Mary Ellen Fesser to provide trauma behavior specialist services for the 2020-21 school year, to enter into an agreement with the Educational Service Center of Northeast Ohio and the Madison local schools to join the Title III Consortium, which is limited English proficient funds. And then to approve the contract between the Madison Local School District and Mentor Accepted Village School District and CARES, which is the autism school, to provide educational and related services for students served outside the Madison Local School District for the 2020-21 school year, and then to enter into an agreement between Madison Local School District and Crossroads to provide behavioral health prevention, intervention, assessment, and treatment services for the 2020-21 school year.
I'll move.
A second.
Any discussion?
I love volunteer coaches.
I know you do.
Any other?
Try not to laugh too hard there, Sean.
Brian, you'll learn the meaning behind that. I assure you.
Roll call.
John Douglas,
Yes.
Michael Howry,
Yes.
Michelle Hayes,
Yes.
Brian Horvath,
Yes.
Gene Sensi.
Yes.
Vote is 5-0.
All right, so we'll now open the second public participation portion for the evening. This is on any item. And wishing to address the board would have 5 minutes to do so. Please state your name and address for the board.
Yeah, I think everybody has the ability to unmute. Gretchen, can you test that for me?
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
I can
Thank
do it.
you. And we have 2 people that have chosen to unmute, Jeff and, oh, looks like Jeff is raising his hand. Right, John, I don't know if you can see that.
Mr. Thompson,
Yes, can you hear me?
we can.
I got a question. As you had mentioned earlier, this is Jeff Thompson. I live at 6150 Ford Road. And I've been a sub for the school system about 4 years now. Is there going to be any training for subs this coming year? Instead of going in on day one, since it's such an important need, you know, you've stressed at the last few meetings that there'll be an additional training for subs, so we're on the same page as the school, or not just going in blinded?
Usually the county does training for the subs, but I will work with the county to coordinate so that if there's specific things you need to know about Madison, we'll make sure you have them. Okay, Jeff?
Yeah, I just thought for everybody it would be a good idea. That's just my opinion, you know.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Is anyone else wishing to address the board?
Everybody else had the opportunity to unmute themselves. I can give everybody that opportunity again. So everybody can if they need to.
Hello. My name is Jacqueline Berry, 946 Dock Road. I have a question. Since we're going back to in-person teaching at school, are you going to continue doing board meetings via Zoom? Are those going to go back to sessions at the board office so that public participation can happen? Or has it just been nice to have the convenience of having the Zoom so more people have an opportunity to participate?
Thank you, Ms. Berry. I'll address that. The board has a consensus that we will begin to do in-person meetings when school begins. In-person means that the board will be in person, but we will continue to provide the public with the Zoom option. We've seen significantly more public participation in this forum. And that also reduces the footprint in the building for those members of the public who would have to come in. So for instance, I believe what you would see would be that the board members would be in person, socially distanced, and very similar to how you used to see board meetings pre-COVID, where when we would have a camera there and you would see all the board members, but then there would be an opportunity for the public to participate remotely. And that way, as many people could participate in the meeting as a member of the public as possible. I don't know if anyone's hearing what I'm hearing, but this is a lot of banging.
I'm hearing it also, and I don't see where anybody's lighting up, so I don't really know what that is.
I don't hear it at all.
Okay. Sorry about that. Is there anyone else wishing to address the board? All right, we'll now close the second public participation portion for the evening. Did I miss something, Mike?
I don't know. Jacqueline looked like she was raising her hand, but then she just went back. So never mind. Okay, so I'm going to go back, do the mute all, and then
Okay.
do what I have to do. So it's one of us that's doing it. Let's find out. Michelle, can you? Okay.
I think it's Michelle.
Michelle,
What did I do?
Yeah,
Hang on, I want to try something.
Noise.
Hang on.
listen, mute Michelle. It is.
I'm wondering if you don't have a pet that's wagging its tail against those speakers.
Nothing. I hear nothing. I have a fan going.
That's probably.
That might be it.
That's what it is.
The fan? I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Oh, here,
That's
let
all
me
right.
turn it
No, you don't have to. Thank God she's doing it now.
Is that better? Is it
No.
away now?
No.
No.
I hear absolutely nothing in my house. Dogs are,
Like a
They're all-
clapping
I
sound.
can look. They're all three sleeping on the couch, looking at me. They're facing me, but they're asleep on the couch. As soon as I said that, they jump up, but
Okay, so
Mute
do
her again. Mute her.
we have a need to go into executive session?
Not tonight.
Mike?
No, I don't.
All right, do we have a motion for adjournment?
I'll move.
a second.
Any discussion?
Nope.
It's got a good beat to it.
It does.
It sounds like a dog.
Happening?
It's happening.
I hear nothing.
It's because it's you. It's you.
Roll call, please.
Michael Howry,
Yes.
Michelle Hayes,
Dum, 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 dum. Yes.
Brian Horvath,
Yes.
Gene Sensi,
Yes.
Sean Douglas,
Yes.
5-0. Allow me to stop the recording.